Good to go. Last one of the season. Let's make it a good one.
Good to go.
Okay. Anyone watch training today? Good. Oh, you did. Well done.
I did.
Well done. You get the first dibs on the cakes. Well, we're into the last week of the season. I'd say that there was massive disappointment after the game last weekend, because we're going into the last week of the season with nothing to play for, apart from probably the most important thing, which is pride. What I've said to the players today is that we're playing against the best manager and the best players in the league, the best team in the league. So for me, it's from an individual point of view, you're talking about how can me as a manager pit myself against the best manager in the league this year, the best coach in the league this year, my technical staff against the best technical staff in the year, and then the best players in the year. I've watched New England a lot, and if I was a footballer and I was playing on Sunday, I'd be thinking I want to pit myself against the best, to see what the best are like, to see what they're doing that I'm not doing, to see what they're doing that I need to improve on, and to see how and what I need to do to become better, to become champions, and to have that gap at the top of the league like they have. That for me is the biggest challenge on Sunday, and one that I woke up this morning really excited. A lot early in the week, there was that feeling of emptiness. There was the feeling of that none of us probably. I know I was speaking to Chris Henderson. It's the first time in his MLS career as on the other side that he's never been involved in a playoff. So imagine that's the disappointment that we're feeling, and the players have as well. And so Sunday for me is a massive exciting challenge in terms of pride, playing for Inter Miami. Pride, finish the season well, and can we beat the best team in the country? And in terms of the squad, you always get it at this stage of the season. I don't know what it is. Maybe players don't want to come back in next week and get treatment, but everyone seems to be fit, apart from Gonzalo's had a long-standing plantar fasciitis problem that probably originated when we went to play the two games on turf against Portland and Atlanta. So we're going to look at him. He did train this morning. Nick Milesman is out of the game. He got a bad dead leg contusion. So we're looking into that. So he's definitely out of the game. Federico is not going to be travelling with us tomorrow. His last game in football was last Saturday, which I thought was a fitting end. We're taking three young boys, not to strip, not to be a part of the game, but just for experience, to travel with us. And we're looking forward to the game.
Question.
Three players are Noah Allen, George Acosta, and Harvey Noel.
We'll start with questions. Michelle.
Phil, it's that part of the season where people are thinking about the future, and I know, in Chicago, whatever, they already told 9 guys what their future is or whatever. What's the situation with these players? Have you had conversations with them, or does that come after this game? Is this game on Sunday, are there some guys that are still on the bubble in your mind that this game will make a difference, or have you kind of decided in your head what you see for the future?
Well, I think I've experienced something this week that has made me really appreciate probably what American soccer players, but maybe other sports in America, what they have to go through at this stage of the season. I think it's really brutal. We've got players that are obviously coming to the end of their contracts that you can, the minute that we got knocked out of the playoff race, you can smell the tension you can smell the mood of the team just change from one of real let's go for the playoffs to now probably thinking about their futures and their financial futures, their families, that will affect their families, etc. So we've seen that this week. I've smelt it. You can sense it in and around the building. The chat around the building has been about probably what the plan is for next week in terms of the individual meetings that we'll have with with all the team, and the big decisions that we have to make as a football club.
Next question, Austin.
I was at training, so I did see that Josh Penn was there. I wanted to ask what you thought of his season with Charleston and him coming back to train with you guys, what that's been like, and what do you see in him as a player?
Well, he came back on Tuesday, so we sent Josh out on loan to gain experience, to learn the reality of what a professional footballer has to go through when you have to win games, when you have to be part of a team, when winning really matters. We use our USL team as a more of a development rather than win at all cost. He went to a team that has to win. The players around them have to win to get their bonuses, to survive, to get a contract. So I think he's learnt an awful lot at Charleston. And you do that when you go out on loan as a young player. You learn an awful lot about things on and off the pitch. Sometimes it's off the pitch. You're out your comfort zone. You're in a place that you've never been to, and you've got to make friends. You've got to find things to do away from football and keep your standards on the pitch as well. So we've watched Josh a lot. It's good to have him back. He's a great character. He's very popular within the younger element of the dressing room, and he's one that we'll look to keep developing.
Really? Can I ask if you know about Patrick Seegers, if he's coming back anytime?
He's not coming back in terms of this season, no.
Next question, Chris Whittingham.
I was just curious, Phil, I know there's still a game left, but what for you are the positives, the building blocks that you're looking towards next season that you've taken from within the playing staff, from your own personal experiences from this season?
Yeah, well, I think at the start of the season when I took the job, I've got to say the playoffs was the minimum that I wanted. So massively disappointed, and I thought with the team that we had and the squad that we had, we would be able to do that. I think what we've seen over the last 2 years, we've seen the nucleus of this squad get opportunities to become a successful squad in this league. And I think without giving away any secrets, I think it's plain for everyone to see with the results that we've had on the field that we need to make changes to the squad in terms of the mentality and the character and the performance levels. So that's the challenge now from now till January 17th, or for when the roster compliance happens. I think it's February the 26th when the season starts, I think. So we've learnt an awful lot. I've learnt an awful lot about this team and the character of the team and the league, etc. And I think we're in a real good position to put the jigsaw together to attack next season, to be successful, because I think that's the main thing. We want to be successful. We want to be in the playoffs. The emptiness that we have now, we've got to bottle, because we don't want to feel that again. This league is tough. This league is really tough. It finds out certain things, or it intensifies the qualities that you need to be successful, and those are the qualities that we need to keep working on, to keep developing, because we've got a lot of good things happening. I think the culture and the foundations of what we've been building off the pitch, in terms of the processes that we go through now. We've got scouts now all the way around the world, which we didn't have at the end of last season. When we're signing a player now, it's got to go through a proper process that's probably as good as anything that I've seen. That we didn't have. So anyone that comes in the building now has to have gone through a lot of process. So we know the character, we know the performance levels, we know the injury records, we know everything about the player. And in terms of sort of like the things that we're doing off the pitch with the academy, bringing players through, it's the reason why the three boys are coming with us tomorrow. Ian Frey came with us earlier in the season. We've developed our young players. Ascona, Penn have all got on the field this year. Sammy Gadira has got on the field this year. Drake Callender has progressed really well. For me, I had a meeting this morning with Christian McCoon, and I think he's been one of the real successes of this season. And that gives me great hope in terms of the young players that we're trying to develop, that we can do good work with them. And we just need to build on the foundations now that we've built to become successful.
Next question, Dairon, then Steve.
Thank you, Rafa. Phil, I wanted to ask you for the change in the schedule format for next year, for next season.
Schedule.
Yeah. So yeah, for the next season, the schedule format, the schedule is gonna start earlier. It's gonna start in February, so to fit in the FIFA World Cup plans in December, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you if this is good for the league, understanding that it's going to be aligned with the Liga MX Schedule 2, if it doesn't matter if it's the same, or it was something definitely that MLS should keep for the next years.
I'll be totally honest, I want the league to start next week. But I think from a playing point of view, I think there was the gap between the end of the season and the season starting last year was too great. Players were having 3-4 months off. I think all players struggled with that. How much training, how much rest. Probably the most. Speak to Blaise Matuidi. It's the most he's ever had off in his career, when he's always been used to having 3 weeks off. So 3-4 months he found really difficult, and so too did Gonzalo. Those that have been playing football for a long time, that was too long. So I always think that 8 weeks is maximum that a team should have off in terms of rest and recovery. So for me, the challenge is now to make sure that we give really good off-season programs. We get them back into market. The players will come back into market after Christmas or whenever we decide, or whenever they want to come back into market. And the pre-season starts on the 16th, 17th of January. And in terms of sort of like alignment, I think it's perfect that, when the World Cup's going on, you don't want players missing out on the playoffs, on important games for their team and their club, the club that pays their wages, because they're going to a World Cup. The World Cup is the biggest thing in any professional's life, and I think it's really clever of the league to align with other teams in this part of the world, and with obviously the up and coming World Cup in Qatar, which is being played at a time that is. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think a World Cup's ever been played in November and December, so it's going to take some getting used to understand that as well.
Last two questions, Steve, then Franco.
Phil, you mentioned Harvey. I mean, do you think has he progressed nicely this year to the point where you think he's going to be involved with the MLS team next year?
Well, I think he's done well with the USL. He's still got an awful lot of development to do, and he's part of a group of 8 to 10 players that we want to get involved with the MLS next season. I think that's with young players, and he's only young. He's 18, 19. I should know his age really. There's peaks and troughs. And there's many challenges ahead for him. But he's just got to keep the attitude like they all have, and let's get these group of young players through together and challenging and competing and showing the energy that they've got. And we're a club that needs to produce our own players, and he's part of a group of young players that we want to put on the pitch as soon as we possibly can, to challenge the senior players that we've got.
Last question, Franco.
One more game left in the season, but kind of similar to Chris's question. This was your first season as a head coach in MLS, your first season in front of a men's club. What are what is the biggest thing you learned over the course of this season, be it on the field, off the field, about how to manage a team in MLS?
I think you're always learning. You're always learning all the time. I learned very quickly about the brutality of this league with the scheduling, the travelling, etc. I think that was something that really, a journey away is a journey away, and when you come back, your ability to recover takes a little bit longer. So that was probably a real learning curve I took early on. But with Jason and Anthony as my assistants, they've been fantastic with their local knowledge, etc. I suppose I didn't probably. I thought the league has been incredible in terms of the level. I think the level is better than what I thought. I think when you're watching a league on a television, it's not a true interpretation of what it's like when you're literally at touching distance to it. The attitude of the players has been incredible, I've got to say. Even, you think about unsuccessful teams, and we're an unsuccessful team, make no bones about it. Their attitude levels, their commitment is from day one till today. It's they've been really good. And there hasn't been that many managerial challenges in terms of conflicts between, you expect conflicts. There's not been that many. I think we've managed most situations really well. Ultimately, we just come down to we just need better performances on the field. And I was looking through this week. I've been looking through every other team, and I always think Nashville's one of my favourite teams. And I love the manager there, Gary. And I look at, there's not many teams above us. There's maybe there's 3 or 4 teams above us. They've only won 2 more games than us. Where Nashville, they've drawn 17 games but only won 12. And I keep looking at that stat thinking, I think we've won, 11? And, I think to myself, that for me is the biggest thing we're going to go for next season. We probably only need 6 more points to be in the playoffs. And you think about the discipline that I talk about a lot. You think about that defeat column. That's the one that gets right into me, is that you convert some of those 1-0s to 1s into draws, and you're in the playoffs, and that's how you build momentum. I always look at Nashville and think they don't lose games, and I'd not seen the results, I'd not seen the sort of like statistics. I always think whoever plays Nashville, they've got a tough game, they never lose. They draw, they're competitive, they don't get beat easily. And that's a character that I really want us to have next season. And I said at the start of the season, I wanted us to be the hardest team to beat. We've not delivered on that. And that's one thing that we're going to go after, is that, the ability to dig out results, the ability to dig in and travel away and not play beautiful, unbelievable football, but just to win games or draw games, I think has got to be the way that teams are successful. I think there's all in New England this year in both conferences that have just blown everyone away. The rest, it's a marathon, it's a slog, it's a grind out type of league, and we need those qualities. And that for me is probably the biggest thing that I've learnt. In terms of that's experience, I think that's experience of, today, just kick the ball long. If you're not playing well, kick the ball long and play in their half of the field. I'm not saying that's the way that we're going to go, but that type of mentality of, and that's where championships are won. And I've got to say, I've played in championship winning teams. Winning games of football when you're not playing well is a skill, and it's a skill that we need to develop.
Thank you, Coach.
Right.